This story, originally published January 4, has been updated. Houses of worship damaged during natural disasters will be able to rebuild using federal funds from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Trump administration has announced, a shift traditional faith groups have been requesting from presidents for decades without success. FEMA will accept disaster aid applications from houses of worship along with other damaged nonprofits until February 4, the agency announced this week. FEMA's new funding rules were released in an update to the policy guide for the agency. Similar rules are in a House measure that passed late last year and in a pending Senate bill. They are being challenged by church-state advocacy groups that say they violate the First Amendment's prohibition on the government establishing religion. The issue is also pending in federal courts because of lawsuits against FEMA by 3 Texas churches and 2 Florida synagogues hit last year by hurricanes that were denied FEMA funding. Lawyers for those houses of worship are waiting to make sure funding comes through, the San Antonio Express-News reported Wednesday. We thank the Trump administration for righting this long-time wrong and treating disaster-damaged churches, synagogues, and other houses of worship fairly on the same terms as other nonprofits such as museums, community centers and libraries stricken by natural disaster, said Nathan Diamond, Executive Director for Public Policy at the Orthodox Union, a major U.S. Orthodox Jewish organization. The debate about FEMA funding doesn't affect a huge number of institutions, since FEMA designation only happens after rare major disasters such as the trio of hurricanes that hit the United States last year: Harvey in Texas, Irma in Florida and Maria in Puerto Rico. For example, Diamond said after Harvey 4 or 5 synagogues and a few dozen churches sought such aid, while in Florida there was less damage to such spots. Michelle Bachmann tells televangelist she might run for Al Franken's Senate seat. However, it's a symbolically important issue to some faith groups, particularly in the last decade, as religious conservatives have seen their standing challenged by growing liberal and secular forces. Historically, Diamond said, the issue was bipartisan. It's unclear what will happen going forward if the issue gains public attention, but at the moment a mix of lawmakers is supporting the measure to directly fund houses of worship, including Republican reps Christopher H. Smith, N.J., and Peter T. King, N.Y., and Democratic Rep. Grace Meng, N.Y., in the Senate. It has backing from Democrat Claire McCaskill and Republican Roy Blunt, both of Missouri. Faith groups advocating for the change include the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, Agudath Israel of America, which represents Orthodox Jews, the Southern Baptist Convention, and the Jewish Federations of North America. The debate about whether FEMA can pay to rebuild churches and other places of worship increased in the early 2000s. Federal disaster assistance had been increasing as the agency grew, prompting debates about who got what.